Vigilus, Defiant. Chapter 2, First Strikes.
To any Imperial forces in range, I am Astropath Primus Helena Arcan of the Lunar Choir of Neo Velum, Moon of Vigilus. Status update. Vigilus continues to be under siege. Our Militarum and Mechanicus planetary defense forces are holding strong, bolstered by elements from the Ultramarines, Iron Hands, and Death Watch. However, incursions of heretical elements are increasing, and incidents of subversive and rebellious elements amongst the populace continue to be reported. Reports of Tyrannid and Necron activity cannot be verified. We fear that we cannot hold out for long without additional reinforcement. Message repeats. To any Imperial forces in range,
We made planetfall just outside of Otek Hivesprawl to bring relief to the Vostroyan 212th. Captain Lux took the 1st and 12th Watch veteran squads along with 2 of those mercenary knights to assess the situation from the ground. We knew the obvious. The green-skinned scum had the Vostroyans surrounded, and those proud sons of bitches weren't giving an inch, even if it would be the tactically correct thing to do. There was a huge cloud of dust obscuring the exact enemy numbers, though, so up-close intelligence would be essential. Visibility was only about 10 meters, with those orc bullets flying everywhere. The knights strode out to put down supporting fire and provide a bulwark for the Vostroyans to rally around. Lux and the veteran squads dug in with the guard and began laying down suppressing fire to allow the Vostroyan commander to get their head up and give a situation report. We had cleared a pretty good buffer when a barrage of rockets came out of that storm and cut the legs out from under one of the knights.
So, we're giving these Humies with fur hats a right good kicking, yeah? Some Bloods boys had just sounded the war and gotten right up to their lines, choppers going up and down, and those hats were flying everywhere as them Humies screamed like a bunch of grots. And then it gets better, cause a plane full of beakies and biguns flies in. It drops out of those Humie knots and a bunch of beakies who think they're goffs, and we knows it's gonna be a proper fight now. I turns to my mate Burkott and I says, "Daka?" And he says, "Daka!" And then it's Daka, 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 and one! We get a good run-up going. I sees old Bad Talk get stomped by a Huminot. That nutter was trying to bite one of its toes. Always had a little of the mad boy in him, did Bad Talk. So, right as we're about to get stuck in, them rock chav lads get tired of doing donuts out in the dust storm, and they start firing rockets everywhere. A bunch of them knock a Huminot on its back, and the rock chav trucks just go screaming past us. So we're all turned around now from the dust flying and don't know where to charge. Then there's this big flash of light.
The orcs had been concealing a squadron of their transport vehicles in the storm in a surprisingly cunning tactical move. Their speed meant that they could get past the knights and into the Vostroyan lines, likely with devastating effect due to overwhelming numbers of fresh troops. Captain Lux correctly voxed up to the Chainbreaker for reinforcements to intercept, so myself and the 5th and 9th watches teleported down. All arrived in proper position, with the exception of Brother Beltane, who was separated by warp translation mishap. He appeared directly in the path of the oncoming transports, facing away from them. You should have seen those green-skinned faces when they gunned their engines to plow into 3/4 of a ton of Emperor-blessed ceramite and adamantite. Their garbage pile with an engine crumpled around Beltane's Terminator armor and sent the occupants flying over his head. Those that survived the impact were quickly blown apart by his Stormbolter as they landed directly in front of him. And we all thought that he was facing the wrong way. Truly, the Emperor works in mysterious ways. The other transports broke right and left to avoid Brother Beltane, and as such, they didn't run into the Vostroyan lines. Their vehicles continued on past our position, seeming like they were more interested in racing each other than fighting us. The remaining orcs, which were still in large numbers, charged our position. Without the speed and protection of the transports, however, they were on foot and lightly armored. Disciplined volleys from the Vestroyans added to our own precise overwatch fire and reduced their numbers significantly on their approach. As such, only a relative handful managed to reach our lines.
So the Rockchav boys crashed their truck into a knob beaky what teleported right in front of them. They went teeth over boots, and what a laugh we had. The other trucks had to go around, and they hit the gas hard and went screaming past all the Yumis. The speed war was calling, I guess, since they didn't turn around and just kept going. We could see the Yumis now, though, so we got our war going and started firing our sluggers to let them know what a kicking was coming. Man, them beakies can shoot. Boys was dropping all over the place, and by the time we started hitting them, there was only a few of us left. Of course, it was the toughest of us. I walloped one of the furry-at Yumis in the chest with me boot, and the crunch he made was real nice. My chopper went through one of them there little toothpick pokey things and split that Yumi clear in half. I sees Burkut run up against a beaky with a spear, and old Burkut takes a swing, but that beaky drops low and sticks him with the spear. Now, old Burkut's about to make him eat that spear when the spear shoots a zogging big hole clean through him. The spear had some kind of shooter stuck to it. And that's right, Sneaky, I gotta get me one of those. Now Burkut falls over, the lazy git, and I figured that, while I'm the toughest orc still fighting, I'm surrounded by a bunch of boys who might as well be 3 grots in a big coat. So I leg it, along with a few others, to get some lads who actually want to fight. So you lucky lot are gonna come with me and get into a right proper punch-up with some tough beakies. Just remember, I got dibs on that shooter spear.
We made short work of those orcs that managed to engage in close combat. Their morale broke, and we escorted the Vestroyans back to the hive. We suffered no fatalities and only 3 casualties. The damaged knight was recovered. Several specimens of the local orc variation were returned to the Chainbreaker for study.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished? While I'm sure the Imperium's historians will be thankful for such a detailed recounting of the battle, and the Xenos biologists will appreciate your corpse donations, I have no Terran idea why you think I would be interested. I don't know what gave you the impression that I, a navigator, would be enthralled by your report, but while I serve at your pleasure, unless you plan on relieving me of duty by boring me to death, I would request that you keep any future recounting to yourself, Watchmaster. Now, by your leave, I'd like to return to my chambers, as I am long overdue for my meditation cycle. Thank you, my lord. Really, Zephyr? This is your next move? Petty and unimaginative, though perhaps I should expect no less from an Astartes. Here we are. Now to relax and let my... Who? Oh no. Orc! An orc has gotten loose! Ah! It fell over. It has a huge hole through its chest. You kept me busy while this orc corpse got propped up inside my quarters. Zephyr, you right bastard. 1 point to you.
Brother Sergeant Lucas to all points. My bike squadron is approaching enemy position from Avenue Tertius, requesting Typhoon Barrage and Raptor Wing support to cover our strike and fade.
Colin Master Barabas to Lucas. Request acknowledged and inbound. 90 seconds.
All right, brothers. Hard right at the next junction, then let your mounts vent their wrath. Our target is their mass of plague-ridden thrall wretches. Do not engage the Death Guard unless left with no other option. They're tough, but they're slow. We'll hit their line fast enough, and they won't be able to respond before we fade, leaving them wide open to the heavy weapons on the land speeders and attack bikes.
Acknowledge.
We bring the Lion's Wrath. Turbo boost in 3, 2...
This is Interrogator Chaplain Samuel. Talon strike. Grid sector 45.62 by H5.
I beg you, Interrogator Chaplain, allow us to complete our attack. If we do not alleviate the pressure on the Iron Hands line beyond, they cannot advance to relieve the Mechanicus trapped to the west. Without reinforcement, the Tech Priests will be
I repeat. Talon strike. Grid sector 45.62 by H5. There will be no further repeat.
Brother Sergeant, what are your orders?
We are sons of Caliban. Talon Strike has been called. May the Emperor protect our Mechanicus allies.
Engine Seer Lakshmi. The Angels of Vengeance forces are disengaging. Yes. Unsupported, I calculate a 97.46% chance of Mechanicus defeat within 45 minutes. Shall I ready the dragoons to reinforce them? Affirmative. I will lead the main relief force. Jam their transmissions as well. Their gratitude should not be interrupted by outsiders as we introduce them to the majesty of the great war mind Rasputin. Rejoice, for today we welcome new converts to the future war cult.
On the Megaborealis continent, there is an area that is surprisingly isolated. Most everywhere in the hive is a literal crush of buildings and people, wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder, every space devoted to production and misery. This area is a refinery sector, their hab blocks filled with the refinery workers and surrounded by refinement pipes for the chemical slurry produced by the drilling process. It is further cut off by a recent seismic event that lifted the southern section 15 feet up. The ruptured pipes released their toxic contents, creating a horrid swamp that only the most specially equipped could traverse. Crouched above what was essentially a village in a forest of pipes, Sar Degaton, warlord of the Thieves of Sanctuary, licked his lips. His thoughts turned to the unsuspecting denizens going about their pathetic, so-called lives beneath him. Their isolation had insulated them not just from the fighting elsewhere in the hive, but from even the existence of the fighting itself. They were totally unawares, drudging and trudging through their days as they always had. Their screams and begging would be delicious. Their allied warbands, Falgeist and his Black Legion cohort, Huron Blackheart and his Red Corsairs, approached up the single supply road in or out as a frontal assault. A clattering sound came from above, where Skaz and his murder flock clung to the underside of a pipe. Their armor plates rattled against each other in agitation. Something had disturbed the normally aggressive raptors. Sar straightened, flexing the chiropteran wings that had grown from his back in an instinctive threat display as his sorcerer Princent Vrice pointed over Degaton's shoulder. Tearing their way through the jungle of pipes, heedless of the toxins released, two blood-red rhinos advanced at speed towards the refinery. "World Eaters," Degaton hissed disdainfully. "Leave it to those crazed cretins to complicate matters. Change of plan. We'll allow them to herd the drudges to our killing field. Then we'll see those maniacs off if..." The chattering and clattering above rose, and Princent pointed again. Something huge flew on tattered wings to land atop one of the troop carriers, its massive claws gripping the roof, while it roared and sniffed the air with its canine muzzle. "The gold turned brass," gasped Degaton, naming the demon prince. "Change of plans," he said, turning away. "Looks like Falgeist and Huron are on their own. We'll find easier pickings elsewhere." What happened? So much smoke. Why am I on my back? It's so loud. My head's ringing. What was that? Something just ran by me. Ran over the bodies? I'm surrounded by bodies. So many bodies, in pieces, smoldering. My vision's blurry. Concussion? Maybe if I rubbed my eyes? Yes, just reach up and... Wait. Where is my other arm? What happened to my arm? Oh, there it is. There it is, just laying there, still holding my rifle. It's twitching. Does it still want to fight? So cold. Am I in shock? Hey, little arm. Let me help you. Come here, buddy. Let's get you back in action, huh? Just put you back in the socket, and we'll both be ready to go, yeah? Yes, that's better. Who are you? Mr. Metalman standing over me. What do you want?
Warrior, designate 10024 Chi. Your self-repair is at 98%. You will rejoin your unit and engage enemy Sporocyst at location B04.
What?
Warrior 10024 Chi, combat ready and complying, Lord. Gauss rifle charging.
Ave Imperator! Vigilus stands! Her defenders are defiant! Chaos rises!
Vigilus will burn.